Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you all with the love and the honor of the infinite Creator. And I continue to pray that each and every one of you will accept, receive, and share the wisdom, the knowledge, the healing from the universe. And also, in all of these things, I wish you well. I wish your family and all of yours well, um, now and in the future. I have a family member who's going in for cancer surgery on Monday, and I know she's out there. I have to call her tomorrow and wish her well and continued prayers. But third, it's just not my relative that's having issues. A lot of people are. So let's keep the prayers going, folks, for all of the above. Someone you may know, someone you may not know. So, anyway, this discussion about wisdom. Now, I'd like to start this discussion out with just a little bit of Wikipedia and a little bit of what do the scholars say about what is the definition of wisdom. So, Wikipedia, let's kind of, well, hang on just a second. Wisdom, definition of wisdom by Merriam-Webster. Definition is the ability to discern inner qualities and relationships or insight. Okay, so it's how to use. It's to discern inner qualities and relationships and insight. So insight to yourself, insight to the world. Okay. Psychology Today says wisdom is one of those qualities that is difficult to define because it encompasses so much, but which people generally recognize when they encounter it. Well, isn't that an interesting kind of, well, you're going to recognize wisdom when you see it, but which people generally recognize when they encounter it. Ooh, there's wisdom walking down the street. Anyway, that's my little 2 cents about that. Wikipedia. Hang on. Oh, let's say thank you to Bob. Welcome. Thank you, Bob. Let's see if we can have a less jumpy connection tonight. Some coffee and a prayer for Bob, and we'd share donuts if we had them. And greetings and blessings to all of you. I can't see the chat room right now, so if anybody's in there, blessings and greetings to all of you always, and to those of you who will pick up and watch this later, blessings to you. But in Wikipedia, wisdom, sapience, or sagacity, yeah, okay, look up those words, is the ability to think and act using knowledge, experience, understanding, common sense, and insight. Wisdom is associated with such attributes such as an unbiased judgment, compassion, experiential self-knowledge, self-transcendence, and non-attachment, and virtues such as ethics and benevolence. Isn't that interesting? So it encompasses all those kinds of things. Now, when you look through that, isn't that sort of what becoming a spiritual being is all about? Compassion, experiential, meaning your experiences and your own self-knowledge, self-transcendence, what you learn spiritually, non-attachment. What I have been trying to talk about is the compassionate observer, but ethics and benevolence, common sense, insight. Aren't those, basic things that, I've talked about shamanism, spiritualism? Aren't all of those things that, I'm going to quit reading now and goofing around with the computer. Hi, y'all. Thank you for stopping in this Saturday evening, going into Sunday morning. But I bring up wisdom because we had some visitors today. Hey, Millie Cow. Blessings continued. You too, Jody. Thank you all. This young lady, she's 10, going on 11 years old, is going to go to the science fair coming up in June. Very intelligent young lady. And from some of the people that I've met, this young lady has wisdom beyond her years. Now, there are many of us who know, some people call them star children or whatever. I'm I had wisdom beyond my years. I just didn't know it back in the day and wasn't encouraged. But I was told to shut up and keep my mouth shut. So but there are things that I knew as a kid. I always knew about nature, and I always knew I was going to sort of be a hermit. I told everybody when I was 3, 4 years old. They asked me what I was going to be when I grew up, and I told them I was going to become a hermit, live on live on a river, and live in a. Here I am. You know. Um, So some of us know what our soul journey is going to be. We might not know the steps, but we know the basic path. And for those of us who don't try to stay it, or we try to, I tried to ignore my own path for a long time, even though I lived down here in the woods, and I'm the hippie in the neighborhood, kind of thing. There are a lot of rednecks that live like me too. So it's like, it ain't just that. It's just country folk, I would say. But anyway, it's the wisdom. So here's this young lady that in a lot of ways has wisdom way beyond her years. So when we talk, and Breaking Dawn has spoke with her as well, and when we have conversation, you can tell there's more in this young lady that's past her years. It's wisdom. She's already learning what she's learned in her first 10 years and life experience and what's going on the internet and stuff. There's certain things that other kids would die for. Her mother's like, why won't you play this video game? She's like, well, it bores me. What? A 10-year-old kid saying, that a video game bores them? Oh, great. I support this young lady. But there's wisdom beyond her years. So my topic for this discussion is there are folks my age who are supposed to, late 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, who are supposed to have had this accumulation of knowledge that has somehow has wisdom attached to it. So what is the wisdom? Well, not to do certain stuff over again, you know, um, just pick one, I've talked about many of my foibles and accidents and things over the years. Try to go do something in tomorrow and not be stupid about it. Don't get in accidents. Just pay attention to the world around you, and just try to be a better person and during that, during your endeavor. But anyway, but where does the wisdom come? Well, if you burned yourself with a match a couple of times, you make sure you don't touch that part that burns. It leaves scars. They leave, blisters. You can burn stuff down. I had an incident when I was a young kid, burning my thumb and my hand. Man, for 3 weeks, it like rotted flesh, that I had to put up with because I was playing with matches. And one thing led to another, and I caught myself on fire. So it's like, don't do that again. There's wisdom in that, right? So, but do you have to get burnt real badly to like get it? But don't touch that. It's hot. What do? You got to touch it. I mean, I got we just installed a new stove over here behind me, which by the way is putting out really nice. And it's like, I know it's warm. How warm is it? Let me see. Ooh, that really is hot. But at my age, I've still got to touch it to see if it's hot. So where is my wisdom? I do it really carefully and go, ooh, I'm ready to pull back. So, but I've learned that even though it doesn't look hot, don't mean it ain't. But so where does the wisdom come in this? And whose wisdom is it? And does it pertain to you or me or the next person? The wisdom that I've learned about how to split firewood, how to build a fire in a pot-bellied stove, how to do these things, I've learned through 50 years of experience with burning in wood stoves and living the country lifestyle like I do. There are some people who are like just starting to try it out, like, well, I'm going to move back to the country. I've been in the country for the last, it'll almost be 40 years that I've been on this place. 2000, let's see, 2022 will make it 40 years that I've had this place. So it's 38 years this spring. But anyway, that I've been on this land right here this time. But anyway, so in the wisdom of things, I've learned the wisdom of where does the water come down the hill. The wisdom of, if it's raining or something like that, pull it over here, don't put it there, blah, blah, blah. There's wisdom in things because of observations. Oh, well, this might happen, that might happen, blah, blah, blah. Spiritually, though, there are many people, and I've talked about this before, they seem to just be going round and round in circles, like they certain things will trigger them and they have to relive them somehow. Sometimes it keeps them from trusting other people. Sometimes it keeps them from expanding themselves spiritually because they're dragging so much, emotional, spiritual, whatever kind of baggage that they may still be dragging along with them. So for every day that you go by, you should learn a little wisdom. Well, yesterday was a such and a this and a that, and I learned a little something yesterday, sort of like the South Park guys. Well, I think we've all learned a little something about this, my friends. You should look at the day, and it might just be the smallest tidbit of something. Or you might just learn, you know what? Today wasn't that bad a day. There was a couple of months. I got through it. Hi, Ultraviolet. Pleased to see you. Blessings. So that you got to give yourself a little bit of a pat on the back and an attaboy once in a while and go, that's my reflection. But my wisdom says, this could have triggered me where maybe I'm working on something where, I don't give somebody the finger in traffic or whatever it may be. So that you are trying to just do a little better. That's all, Well, I can shoot a bird if I want to. Go ahead. But what's that really doing to you, your energy, into the energy of the rest of the world? Everybody has the opportunity to use the F word. What starts with an F and ends in UCK? Fire truck. Think about that one. But to the point, though, I'd rather not say it because I give energy to it. Now, yeah, I use the F word around here, but I realize I used to cuss like a sailor. I mean, I would put a sailor to shame sometimes because I'm an old carny, okay? And their sentences are constructed with curse words, okay? And they make them up. It's amazing. But so having lived 25 years around that kind of thing, yeah, it's sort of a bad thing to get rid of. And it's like, well, I'm around the house. Who's listening? That's not the point. It's the point that those types of words and phrases are negative in nature. So I don't want to cuss, curse, or whatever, because that's sort of you son of a bit. And that's putting negative energy out there. And so as a shaman in training, I understand it. My wisdom dictates that I used to cuss at myself. Why? No, don't curse myself. Oh, hell no. Stop that, will you? Oh, damn it, Dave, here you go again. Stop it. Hey, Truth in Me, Ultraviolet, I think, David Castle. Again, some more. Anyway, blessings, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. But so in your own world, realm, whatever, the wisdom that may benefit me may not be the wisdom that may benefit you. Maybe not in the same way. So we're still searching on our path. What is the wisdom? What is our understanding? How can we get through that? What depth? Well, there's an old expression, out of the mouth of babes. Well, this young lady of 10 years old, she's got some wisdom that's like right on. We've given her crystals and talked to her. I've had conversations with her on a level that there are people my age that wouldn't understand the way she did. So, there's hope for this planet, and our young folk. And those young folk who show these types of traits and abilities and so forth, we need to nurture them and encourage them in any way we possibly can without putting undue burden on. And the biggest thing that I have tried to do over the many years that I've known her, because I've known her since she was born, through these friends of mine. But my point to that is that I've always said, Uncle Dave's always here because I used to do puppet shows, tell stories for them, and hang out with them on their birthdays and things and holidays and stuff. So I've been around for a long time with this family. They're family to me, even though we're not related. But to the point, though, I've always said, Uncle Dave always loves you. I always give you a hug. If you ever need anybody to talk to, even though you're a little kid, because even her, let's see, her aunts would vouch and say, yeah, are they cousins? Anyway, but relatives who grew up with me being there and hanging around. And when they were having problems and stuff, they knew they could sit down and have conversation with me. And I would keep it, it was private. They would divulge private things to me they wouldn't talk to anybody else about. But and I pride myself still in that, in they can trust me without any kind of, when I give them a hug, it's a hug from a person, a friend, another being. It's not some kind of, I'm an old man, creepy. Nuh-uh. No, don't go there. And they know it. But it's important that I established that a long time ago with especially females. But, there are even young men who are like, nah, don't you touch me. And, God forbid that that's actually happened, that you just can't give another human being a hug without something weird being about it. Anyway, but to the point, though, in our wisdom of understanding, what do we do from a day-to-day basis? How do we use it to our benefit? Well, first we have to stop and acknowledge that there's anything there to learn from that we've already observed. I've discussed about trigger words and things like that. So when you take your own position, and it's not that you can't, the compassionate observer is watching. And when it's the word compassionate means that if somebody really needs your assistance, you step in where you possibly can, if it's just a kind word or a prayer, or any other means that may be necessary. But that's the part of the compassionate part. Hi, Michelle. Glad to see you here. Cosmic hugs all around. And I know y'all are sharing the love. So, but in our wisdom, have we learned to separate that emotional? Well, I get so emotional when I see that. Yeah, being non emotional doesn't mean that you don't care. It means that you're going to reserve and you're not going to lose control. Fear is what I talked about in another video yesterday, but the idea that fear will overcome you and take over what you're thinking, how you act, how you react to things. So trauma and all these other things send our tiny little brains into these directions that we really don't need to go there. We've been there before. Some of the people that I'm talking in generality, some are relatives, some are friends of relatives, just folks I know, but they're repeating the same damn thing. I mean, I've known them for 20 years, and they've repeated some of these things 10 times every 2 years is like but they keep going through these cycles. And where is the wisdom of your age? Have you not you're not paying attention to yourself? Well, I know I've been in a situation like this before. You should have paid attention and not got yourself into it, is my point. The wisdom of, hey, look, I shouldn't do this again. Should have stared at, it was staring right at you. Did it anyway. And then, well, it's like got into trouble. Don't be stupid. Don't, come on, stop it. Use your wisdom, use your intuition. And some people just give up. They don't pay any attention at all. And then they wonder why they get themselves into these fixes. Now, I got into a fix when I lost my job and I couldn't find another one due to the NAFTA deal and all that. But the thing is though, there were options and things that I should have tried and that I didn't really do. However, I was still dealing with a really bad bout of seizures, and I had some medical issues that I really didn't need to be driving as much as I was, bottom line. And finally, the great powers that be gave me my disability and said, we agree, you shouldn't have to drive all the time. When I feel well, I'm fine. I don't weave off the road or nothing like that. There's the occasional looking out the window, but No, the only thing I've hit in a long time has been deer, and that's because I couldn't stop quick enough to avoid them. Anyway, in my wisdom, though, I learn where they are in certain places on the highway around in this neighborhood, and within a 20-30 mile radius, I know where they're where deer are, because you can see carcasses on the side of the road too. But I've hit them in a few places or near misses. So when am in those areas, I use my wisdom to go, yeah, I've seen deer through here before. Pay attention, observe your surroundings, so that if, whoa, there is one, yeah, yeah, I knew. So I was kind of ready because I'd been in that area before. That's the wisdom and our knowledge. But some people just don't pay attention at all. And if they are, they're not using what they should, that's being recorded in their head. Now, my 10 cents on that is that with all the cell phone activity and all this other stuff, their mind is not tuned at all into what some of the natural things they should be attuned to. Use a cell phone when you need it, send somebody a text when you do, but all this Twitter stuff and being on all the time. And there are folks who are claiming that, well, I'm on this really good kick here. I don't really use my phone and blah, 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 blah. But do you ever shut it off? No. Well, something might happen. Okay. But does it ever? Well, but something might. So you see, there's this like fear that something might happen. But in their wisdom and their whatever is like, I can always turn it on but when I go to the bathroom and check and see if I got any messages. No, okay, turn the phone back off. It ain't that you can't check it, but do you have to have it on all the time expecting it? Where's the wisdom? My point is, where's the wisdom in that? People are just becoming more involved versus less. You can still check, you can still pay attention, you can still be, observant, but does it have to be 24/7? And some folks can't get, so by doing so and having this other thing in their head, they're not using their own wisdom. It's blocking it out. They can't see it because their mind is in it in some kind of app or some, you know what I mean? So they first off, you got to recognize, wait a minute, in my wisdom, is my attention being taken away from me so I can't use my wisdom? I'm being distracted. My vision and whatever in the apps, and people are still driving down the damn highway, texting with one hand, not even looking at the road, and it ain't a self-driving car. And I just don't like to ride with, put your phone down, put your phone down, put your phone down. You call me a bad driver, put your phone down, please. Well, they'll only take them and then pull over. Okie dokie. But to the point, though, and they call me crazy. But to the point, though, is it that important? No. Years ago, I've got a cell phone, but I'm not going to plug it in because when I traveled all the time, a cell phone was pretty good because I was 50 miles away from home. So, cell phone came in handy. But running back and forth to town, what do I need a cell phone for? It's 15 minutes to town, 15 minutes back. Since I haven't had my cell phone, nothing major has happened. I got stuck in the parking lot of Arby's one time, and these near Christmas a couple years back, a couple of Mexican ladies pulled up and let me jump my truck off, and gave them $20 for Christmas. She was trying, and I was like, no, here, Merry Christmas, thank you, because it was going to cost me that to get my truck jumped off. But anyway, that's the worst that's happened in all these years of not having a cell phone. So, but in my wisdom, I know to take certain things. I got my jumper cables, okay. But the idea that, oh my God, I can't go somewhere because I don't have a cell phone. So where the wisdom, though, is I'm still prepared, and I'm still, I know what to do in case anything should happen. And everybody else has got one. So, that's the other side of the coin. But I can understand the need with children and family and stuff like that. I know. But it's more than that. And a lot of people won't face that. So to find out if they have any wisdom, they first must face that. Because otherwise, the journey to find their own wisdom is going to be a short trip because they're going to be distracted by an app. They won't be able to stop long enough to think about it. So, oh, I've got to check the phone. Whoop, there's something ding. What? You got to shut up. You got to turn stuff off in order to hear the wisdom within yourself, just within yourself, not necessarily the universe and that you're going to cure something. It ain't that. But for people to just continue to repeat bad behavior over and over and over again and expecting a different result is a definition of craziness, madness, you know? So, in spiritualism, there are folks out there, distractions, absolutely, David. Trust in me. Not too many people will loan you a phone these days. Yeah, sometimes, but that is true about that. But I've been in a couple of places, and it's how you approach someone. And I guess maybe with my kind face or whatever, listen, and who I picked to go ask also, but that's through wisdom of my years as working as a carny and a thingy and a puppeteer. How like that person ain't going to lend me. That person ain't, but this person I might be able to even talk to. So, but your point is very valid. But with that though, I've lived out here before there ever was a cell phone. So for me to like freak out, and it was one of the hurdles. Now I don't want to stay on this thing about the cell phone. That's not my point. But it is about the distractions. People are being distracted by things, so they're not listening to their own wisdom. They're repeating things over and over again. And I think it is from the outside distractions. Now, that is just my personal opinion on it. But at the same point, so that in the collected wisdom, what happens with old people? We have a tendency to slow down and see things some of us have seen the circle and cycle so many times that we ain't going through it again. And we try to tell I try to tell my granddaughters, listen, there's a better way of doing this, please try it, but everybody's got to walk their own path as it is. But so my wisdom, is it help some of my family members? Oh, hell no. They go the opposite direction, like running, even though they know my own background and history and I haven't lied about it. Here it is. Please don't be an idiot like I was. Choose a better life, choose a better way. No, they even did it worse. But anyway, there's still hope. I still pray. But in my wisdom, it's like I know that if I try to force anything on them, that don't work. So I got to come in I got to use my wisdom and foresight and go, well, I can at least make good comments. I can at least let them know I'm still here in the background. As I promised to them years ago before they went wacko and off the wall, that Grandpa's still here. I'm still here. You need to talk? I'm still here. It's your choice not to talk back or to ignore, but I am still here. So, and that's the wisdom that I've learned, because you can't beat them over the head with it or jump at them screaming. That don't work. Ultraviolet Flame, hey, how are you? Everyone is looking for entertainment. I don't think they even care most of the time. You're absolutely right. But now, I'm not trying to leave out general folk, but in this, in my series of shamanic basics, it's more for us who are really trying to pay attention. Not that anybody can't listen. Oh, mind you. And thank you to the new subscribers. Hey, Lady Spitfire. It's for everybody to understand or to try to find within themselves their own wisdom, So when you seek it from the universe, when I've told folks before, it's already there, because you've already experienced enough things that if you could listen to yourself, hear yourself, trust your own instincts, which is part of the definition, then you too will, you have wisdom, and that will make you wiser if you listen to your own intuitions. And so folks who follow their intuitions normally, avoid crap. My intuition said I should, and it kept them from something tragic happen. I've had intuition, did it anyway, and went to jail, literally. So it's like, wish I'd have paid attention, because I had my intuition said otherwise. So, but in the wisdom, don't do that no more. You won't face that stuff anymore. So, somebody, a friend of mine, they got caught with a bad check again. I was like, have you not learned that don't work even now? Passing off a cut, stop it, please. Well, I was down on my, hey, listen, you could have called me and asked, hey, you got $20, I'd have lent it to you. I gave you gas money to come out here and pick it up to keep you from doing something stupid and going to jail. I don't have much money, but I could have helped you instead of going to jail. You needed food. You could have called me, you dumbass. That's my point of view. Well, I'm too proud. You bounced a check. Come on, stop it. Where's the wisdom in that? So, but to the folks who are actually trying to be better spiritual beings or better people, the wisdom is always there. And because it may not be your experience, but if you use your intuition, you may have seen a movie and you say, well, what's movies got to do with it? There's a situation where you saw two or three people and something, 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 and you saw what a potential outcome. It may not be the outcome, may not be the same story, but the thing is, it's a situation. So how do you two people fighting, somebody's half drunk and they're getting ready to slug the other person, and you don't want to see anybody get hurt, but at the same time you don't want to get slugged, you don't want the fight to escalate, but you got to do something. So in the past I'd have just said, hey, stop what you're doing, and pow pow pow, we both of them would be beating on me, and that has happened. So you try to distract them. You change the subject in your wisdom, wait, hold it. I'm not just going to let them fight, but I can't just jump in. Got to stop them, slow it down, do something. Now that's an extreme, but to the point though, we have to be the conscientious or the compassionate observer and go, that's too much right there. Stop that. Now, arguing, you can always say, hey, calm down. you know, just it's easier to talk when you're not screaming. That's all. Keep talking, but screaming hurts everybody's ears, and we can't hear you when you scream too loud. So there are ways that you can, like, I'll scream if I want to. Okay, but it's I can understand you better when you talk to me. That's all. You can say, I'm not telling you to stop, but I can hear you better and understand you better when you're not screaming. So you give them a reason why. I want to hear you. So you say, I can hear you better when you're not. So in your wisdom, instead of screaming back at them, which is what I used to do, I realized in my own wisdom, wait a minute, I can be the calming point in this and saying, listen, and it is true. It's hard to hear somebody when they're screaming at you, because all you hear is the scream, you know? So talk to me, but scream. And I used to be a screamer, so I'm guilty of this. All right. But in my wisdom, let's pick it up. I choose to go another direction. Now, so how do we go into the depths of our wisdom? Well, when you start realizing, wait a minute, this might be distracting me. Maybe I wasn't paying attention because other factors. So you have to do that look in the mirror thing and be honest with yourself. Because when you take away your distractions and allow the energy, allow the quantum, allow the knowledge and the healing and the wisdom from the universe, you can accept it. But if you ain't paying attention to it, what good's it doing you? So the next thing is you got to understand, well, maybe I should watch out for it. Maybe I should pay more attention to my own intuition. What is wisdom to me? Well, does it mean baking more cookies for the Cub Scout troop because a dozen doesn't make it with 10 kids? They always want more. The wisdom comes in different forms, shapes, and sizes. So, and each of us will use our own wisdom. My granny used her wisdom on us and the things and gardening, so, but in different ways because she didn't drive and she stayed at home. She was a homebody, a hermit in a way. But her wisdom was countless. I still love my granny Raleigh. Her picture hangs over here on the wall all the time. And I'm always, thank you, Grandma, for what she taught me when she was alive. And she's come back to me several times and helped me through some issues. And I had to have the wisdom to pay attention and say, what would my grandma, whether she actually came to me or not, but the feeling was that what would my grandma Raleigh say? What would she do in a situation like this? She was kind. She was, all these things. Ah. But I could have went off on my own and kept bitching, complaining, and arguing and screaming, and I wouldn't have learned a damn thing. So the wisdom comes in listening to yourself. And the next step is then acting on it. You can recognize it all day long. Well, I really shouldn't have got pissed off, but I got pissed off anyway because I had the right to be pissed off. I can be pissed. Oh, stop it. I used to be that way. Honestly, sure, you have the right to be pissed off, but should you? Does it do you any good? Your blood pressure goes up, your energy changes. Well, I just don't give a damn. Well, then you're not part of this conversation in a lot of ways. Because if you don't give a damn, then wisdom is not very high on your priority or using it. Now, it's not like it's hidden, but if you're being distracted, then you can't see it. It's like a magician. How did that trick work? Well, it's sleight of hand. I used to do little magic tricks, and people go, how did you do that? You learn how to do it, and I distracted you. You didn't see me do this. And, oh my God, that was great. Woo. A couple of simple tricks, but to the point, though, I learned them very well. And for me, it was like, man, kids would freak out about some of the stuff. Same thing with what I used to do with puppets. But to the point, though, in my wisdom of doing puppetry, I learned that the storylines needed to be quick and not slow and sloggy and saggy. The puppets had to move, and even though they could be touchy subjects, there had to be motion and characters. And that was through the wisdom. That was through observation, and I got better at it over the many years. And so, but the thing is, if I had stayed stuck in the rut that I'd originally started, I wouldn't have learned all these other things. So through the wisdom, I had to act on them. So first is to recognize it. Second thing is to then act on it. And as don't put your hand in the fire, stupid. It's gonna burn. It'll blister. So, and then folks go, well, I don't know. I should have realized that it was hot. Yeah, you should have. You should have used a little bit of that noggin up here. Now, with the rest of the wisdom and everything in the universe, spiritually. So it's like, do you use your wisdom? Now, I've talked about this before, as of others, but like the world is full of rabbit holes. You can choose to go head first down them, or you can like send a probe or maybe a drone and go check it out for you. And I'm not saying that you should don't go looking at anything. Like, for example, way back in the 71, 2, 3 and beyond, but right in there, I became fascinated with Egyptian stuff. And it was because of watching old Boris Karloff and the Mummy and things like that. But the things about the pyramids and things were just starting to come out back then. And I was interested long before anybody else. In 1974 and 5, I had a hardbound copy of the Book of the Dead kind of thing. I had a book on hieroglyphs that got burned. All of those got burned in the house fire. But the idea, though, that it was like, but I was going to try to learn all the hieroglyphs and what does that mean and what was this? And they've learned a lot since then, by the way. I can do now on the internet if I want to learn and do it, pick in a translation. Now, I still have an interest in the pyramids and in Egypt and stuff like that, but I realized that it was one rabbit hole that wasn't going to give me anything but self satisfaction. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. If you got a hobby of whittling or carving, mine used to be puppets, still kind of is, but we're getting back to that. Playing the guitar, music, crocheting, building something, if a hobby of doing something, that occupies your mind. And so you're not just sitting watching the boob tube, but I mean, actually doing something. Now, one of the things now I've got several friends who can sit there and crochet while watching a movie. I'm crocheting ain't to me, but I used to watch movies and string puppets and work on things like that. So in that retrospect, you can do both. You can still, and it helps your brain. It helps you to realize in different realms. Why is that important with the wisdom of spirituality? Because with your spirituality and your wisdom, when you understand there are different levels of these things, not so much in realms or dimensions, but in understanding. So wisdom comes with understanding of things. So as you understand things, you listen to yourself a little bit, you gain a little confidence, and then the wisdom just starts oozing out. You don't have to do anything, it shows up all by itself. So it's not like some kind of trick, except you got to get rid of the distractions. Now, uh, you can have a day full of distractions, but you also, if you want to be wise about it, which is part of wisdom, wise wisdom, you don't have age has nothing to do with it. This 12-year-old has a lot of wisdom that I wish her parents would pay attention to, but leave it at that. But to the point that, wait a minute, there are lots of other children out there, lots of other people, situations, how we interact with going to school, going to work, going to church, going whatever we do, we have to interact with people. So that changes our parameters, changes our understanding of things. And sometimes it changes our mood and how we act and etc. But through wisdom, we understand that person pisses me off. This person makes me laugh. That person over there makes me think. So now, through wisdom, because of your own experience, which was part of the definition, your accumulated experience of a lifetime or of a day or of a year or a month, whatever it is, use it and go, those type of people usually, get me into trouble, or I shouldn't really go over there and hang out. Me, I'd go, "Woo, let me go hang out and see what they're up to." I wasn't being too wise. But so wisdom comes at different ages. And there were things I was wise about 40 years ago that over the years, I think I took for granted, and I need to stop every once in a while with my own wisdom and go, you know what? I need to stop and not necessarily go back down a rabbit hole, but I need to go back over a subject like wisdom or fear or something like that. And I've talked about it in other videos in that there, I don't want to talk about the same things over and over again to do a video. That's just monotonous. And I'm not trying to preach, but I am trying to say, come on, we got to think about these things. And it's important because we can do better. And when we understand certain basic things about ourselves, we can understand basic things about human nature and human beings. And in so much as that we can help control a situation, like not being triggered, by being calming with our voice. We are powerful beings. I've experienced it myself. I've talked about it in other videos and how you can use your voice and and it's like, well, wait a minute. That's powerful stuff, y'all. Don't just toss it out the window. You could stop a mob from hanging somebody without having to pull out a gun. Now, I'm not saying that I could do that, but to the point though, but how we act and how we react requires wisdom. See, it's all attached in there. So, like I was talking with some friends of mine came by the other day. Oh my God, just about dark 30 and pulled up. Hey, come outside. I got something for you. Oh my God, they had a pile of fish. Oh my God, a pile of fish they'd been fishing. Some of the biggest speckled perch I've ever seen in my life. I mean, like this big, huge. A couple of them in the freezer. I baked some up the other night. Bacon Dawn had some. She goes, I don't eat fish, and I'm eating this. Oh, it's good, man. Anyway, so and I apologized to every one of them fish because they was still pretty much alive when they got to me. But I said sorry about that, but man, they was good in the oven. There's some more that's going to get cooked up too. But anyway, in my wisdom though, is like, well, let me get a bowl. Like, let me put a bowl to put the heads in. Let me get the thing for the this. Let me get another pan with some water. So my wisdom, my experience is cleaning fish, the guts, the yada, yada, yada. And I set up a little table out there just so I could do it without hurting myself and getting everything, you know what I mean? And away from the house so the cats can go out there, and I just let the cats fight over those fish heads. But anyway, and what they don't eat's good for the garden was the other reason for putting them out there. So, but anyway, but wisdom. Now, spiritually. So, if you have been spiritually through something, I talked about after the first of the year, about a month ago now, and talking about what the holidays and triggers and things and stuff like that, and how we have to repeat things every year. You know, Valentine's is coming up, and oh my God, the Easter bunny's already out there in the stores and things, and oh, holy crap, they couldn't get Christmas stuff out soon enough before Valentine's was in, and anyway, the money that's spent, all that kind of, so they society keeps us in this loop. Well, here comes Valentine's. Well, nobody sent me a Valentine's. Nobody loves me. You know what I'm saying? Set up the fear. Set up this thing. Well, nobody loves me. I didn't get, or somebody did, or blah blah blah, or I gave somebody this on Valentine's. Well, you didn't give me nothing. You know what I'm saying? Holy crap, a moly! What? Here we go again. So society keeps us in these tiny little loops, or our tiny little brains will get caught up in the chaos and we'd be distracted. And so we can't see the forest for the trees, and we can't even see our own wisdom. Hey, Debbie Bell, how are you? Beal Bell? I have a little buggy, but anyway. But to the point, though, of this, hello and cosmic hugs, Debbie. Glad you're here. So what would wisdom do for you? It's not about me. I can preach about stuff, and well, with the wisdom of the fathers will teach you that blah blah blah. Well, if you're still being distracted and not willing to do your own personal spiritual homework, if you will, then why would you care about the wisdom of the universe? So you have to start somewhere in order to get the idea of, is the wisdom going to help me? What wisdom? Well, if I listen to the Hare Krishnas, are they going to partake any, wisdom to me? Well, still read passages out of the Bible. I still read passages out of the Bhagavad Gita. I still read passages about this. I mean, I think Mark Twain had a lot to say. They want to ban Mark Twain and Huckleberry Finn because he talks about the Negro boy and going down on the river and they want to change his diction, and he wrote it as they spoke it. I know people to this day that still speak very similar to what Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain, wrote in his books. And he was portraying something that was real. That's how people spoke. And oh, he's down on the blacks. No, I know white people who used to speak that way. So, oh, stop it. Southerners would speak that way. And so, but anyway, and folks on the river and, folks in Arkansas and the hills and, oh, stop it, please. So, but in the wisdom of things, we have to understand that there can be somebody, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Is that wisdom or just Confucius or just some saying? Well, if you're hungry and you got one in your hand, you're going to trade it for maybe two more. No, that's like what's behind door number three. Nah, keep the bird, that's wisdom. A penny saved is a penny earned. And for all these years, I'm like, yeah, well, I've saved a few pennies, but here in this last year, I've just not been spending money where I'd go to the store and, well, I got $20. Let's go to the store. No, I only go when I actually need to buy something because I'm finding myself, and I've started this a year ago, but this spring cleaning, I am really getting rid of some stuff. And because I realized I got myself into some kind of loop, and I choose to get out of it. I choose to be different. I'm going to use my own wisdom of self, and other people too, but mostly myself, to say I want to change this. I got the stove in the other day. Wisdom, knowledge. Well, I know how to handle this. I got it in here without too much trouble. My back's sore, but it's a big ass stove. But I got it in without any trouble, got the legs on, and without really straining myself or having to huff and puff. So, but I used the wisdom so I didn't hurt myself and get the heater installed and get the other one out. But anyway, but what wisdom, you know what I mean? Does it mean you learned how to cook and make a shortcut in making biscuits and yours is the best on the block? That's wisdom. That's learning how to cook, learning how to whatever it is, there's wisdom in it. You do repetitious things. That's wisdom. You learned how to do something the most efficient way without cutting your fingers off or poking yourself or getting that's wisdom. So you have to look at the different layers of wisdom. Hey, Tammy, how are you? Blessings. Right, truth of me, you hold all the knowledge within you. Well, if it isn't necessarily within you, let me add to that, though, but I agree with you, truth of me. It's that if you don't have it in you, there's something flying around back here. Wow. Got a lot of spirits hanging around and walking through the woods around here lately. But anyway, that's why I say accept from the universe, because if you don't have it within you, it's available. So I agree with you. Our accumulated knowledge is definitely within us. Now, to carry that a step forward, truth in me, so what we wish to do in the future is have wisdom bestowed upon us so that we don't make any more spiritual mistakes. Like, but if I hadn't learned this in my lifetime, then I would not have this understanding. But now I choose. Here's the other thing. I got some other friends of mine, they just don't give a shit. Well, I'm living and I go fishing and I go golfing. What else? That's their life. My life pattern is different. So not that theirs is wrong, but we're different. So I'm all the time saying prayers. I'm all the time, nodding. I'm always sending nods to you folk, to the 72 and the 72 plus out there. Keep your mission going, stay on track. Don't let folks sway you off to the whatever dark side or keep you from your mission as whatever your soul contract is. And for many folk, if you haven't figured it out by now, not that you won't, don't get me wrong, I'm always trying to be the optimist on that. But if you haven't figured out your soul path yet, then maybe you're trying too hard or you're not looking in the right spot, or maybe you're distracted, that you don't really understand what your soul journey is. Now, there's a lot of things I can do in my life. I can go start doing puppets again, or I can, as like I'm doing, I've got a lot of work done around the house and the yard and stuff. I'm really proud with the spring cleaning here, but I realize I got a lot more to do. But what's to say that I don't start going out more? Or my big thing would be like to get a group of folks and let's go kayaking. I got a canoe. I want to get things out, and I want to make it so that if somebody came, relatives, friends, whatever, I could say, yeah, I don't have to pile it on my truck. So I have certain things that I wish to do in the future for whatever reason. So my wisdom says, well, I want to do this and I'll try that. And, so I'm going to go about it a certain way versus, well, I just a dream. And I know what I can do and how I can act on it. But that's through my years and the wisdom I choose. Now, spiritually, it's up to the individual. How spiritual do you want to be? Do you want to be able to make the transcendence? Do you want to transform? Do you want how much of this? And I say the other realms now. There's that evil stuff going around that's always going to be there. By the way, I don't care how good the universe gets. We got to have yin and yang. So they're we'll never get rid of all of them evil mofos. There's going to be some around. Dang it. But we can ascribe and prescribe and do better with ourselves. So how far do you want to go with this? Well, I choose to stay out of that pessimistic crapola stuff. We're all going to die. I used to be there. All that crapola, we're going to die, this is that. That's why I did this video earlier about the pandemic in 1918. We ain't seen nothing yet, and I hope we don't. Okay? Understand that. But for people to be crying about this right now seems to me just a little over the top. Anything can happen. Storms occur, this occurs, that occurs. In our wisdom, what do we do? Us Floridians have a few gallons of water. We have candles. We have batteries for, I live in South Georgia, but I mean, growing up in Florida, my sister, all them folks down there, even though we have more storms up here in Georgia now, they still know how to do it down there. The old timers, they still, a storm comes, thunderstorm, power goes out. They're good. They don't freak out. They got it. They got it covered, It's through the wisdom of the years and their experience. So, but the thing is, though, they act on it. That's the other part of the wisdom. You can have the knowledge, but do you use it? So, what good is wisdom if you don't act on it? And nobody can force you. Nobody's going to push you over that ledge. I know there's been a few times I've been pushed over a ledge by the spirits because I needed it, but to the point though, in the spiritual realm and in the spiritual learning and the of being a shaman in training, because I just want to try to do the best I can. So in doing so, though, that I have to use the wisdom. Well, I don't go up to people and go, well, if you don't believe this, then you're just full of shit. If you don't believe like me, then you're just stupid. Like some of them flat earth folks, believe what you want to. That ain't for me. And for some of the things I speak about spiritually, it ain't for other people. It's okay. And I'm not gonna get bent out of shape about it. They can call me names and all that trolly stuff, but it doesn't. And I went through a period of, like many of us did, that your opinion, an opinion is like an arsehole. Everybody's got one, right? Some are prettier than others, but we won't go there. But to the point, though, in the realm of spirituality, though, look, I just want to get along with the angels, want to stay away from the evil things. I'm fighting for the good. My prayers are always this, my intentions of this and that, and trying, folks come to visit, you be polite. They're like, wow, come on in. We gave them hugs when they got to the house. Wow, how, okay, it's a very small thing. But to the point, though, in the realm of spirituality, though, look, I just want to get along with the angels, want to stay away from the evil things. I'm fighting for the good. My intentions of this and that, and trying, folks come to visit, you be polite. They're like, wow, come on in. We gave them hugs when they got to the house. Wow, how, okay, it's a very small thing. but it's something that you invite someone. Someone comes to visit, you invite them in, and hi, how are you, and greet them. That's a simple thing to do, but some people, well, come on, and grumpy Gus, that kind of thing. But so we can do the simplest of things, which means we've learned the wisdom of our spirituality and of the impact our spirit to another person, from you chatting in the chat room with me, having this. I don't feel like I'm having a one-sided conversation. It's almost like I'm hearing questions or something, and the conversation is for y'all. But at the same time, I go through these things also as a self-reflection myself. Am I using my own wisdom? Am I paying attention? Do I know, blah, 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 blah? Am I paying attention? And there are times when I'm not. And why? Because I'm distracted. And sometimes I distract myself because I'm down a damn rabbit hole. And so I'm in a damn rabbit hole and will step in a gopher hole or an armadillo hole or something else. So I have to pay attention and understand that even though today was like a slow day for me, I still was aware of my surroundings. Even though it was a little slow, I was still aware, and still am. And that's part for this conversation this evening. And the fact that I missed y'all and wanted to do a live stream so we could hang out too, because y'all you folks are great. I don't know you personally, other except in the chat room, but I get this really nice warm fuzzy every time y'all show up, and your comments. Even though I don't have the brain power sometimes, most of the time, to go in and give y'all thumbs up for your comments. Trust me, I love you all. Your comments are wonderful. They're well meant, and thank you. And some of you have some very wonderful insight, and loved you too, Michelle. Um, and David Castle says all that exists is the now. There was a book years ago, back in the early hippie days, called Be Here Now. And so there was many, and I be here now, 3 words. And over the years, those 3 words have changed meaning to me 10 times. Every 10 years, oh, what does it mean to me now? To be here now, to be in the now. What does it, because 10 years ago, being here in the now is different because I've had 10 more years of experience. So being here in the now ain't the same as it was then. It actually ain't the same as it was 6 months ago. It ain't the same as it was 3 days ago, because my now has changed. I've altered it. I've done some things. Da, 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 da. The guy came by with fish. Now I have fish I can cook. And so it's like, well, wait a minute. What do you mean by that? Well, because of other people's interactions and things, what I had planned is not the same thing. It doesn't mean that it's right or wrong, or it's just different. Now I have fish to clean and to cook, and so being here in the now I've got fish to cook. If he hadn't come by, I wouldn't have had it. That be here in the now would have changed. Anyway, we could go around and banter that and jump around it. I like to play banter, games in my head with things like that. Well, what about this and what about that? And but anyway, from the spiritual standpoint of wisdom, each of us needs to make up our own mind. What do we want out of this? What do we really want? How much of the future do you really want to see? Because what they showed me, and I've talked about this before, was victims of that volcano that went off that I've talked about, seeing these people getting fried alive. No, please don't. So I don't ask for future events too much anymore. Things come in, I still get perceptions, and I get to correct sometimes more than I want to. And understand that to share a vision, if you will, if I were to sit here and talk about something, well, I have this vision of something, 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 and we talk about it. Well, could I actually make it happen by talking about it and showing y'all about it and having the discussion? So I actually had to step back and go, wait a minute, maybe this is just for me. Now, I would like to talk about it. I'd like it to be a video. I'd like to warn people about this and that and the other thing, but maybe I'm setting up another reality, another kind of chaos, or am I actually be as much as I think my intentions are pure? Are they really? Am I falling into the same thing? I used to do videos on Earth wobble, and I stopped. Well, one reason I stopped is because it's so cloudy I couldn't make accurate star connections. Anyway, we're wobbling back and forth about 10 degrees. Every 2 or 3 weeks, we kind of are doing this number. By the way, check yourself. But Breaking Dawn and I go out, and Orion's over there. Tonight it was up high and moving in the right direction. So, but 2 or 3 nights ago when it was clear, it was much lower in the sky, and it was like, wonder what Orion's doing over there. And it ain't the constellations moving, honey. It's us. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, but if I talk about this, though, am I actually like feeding the fear? Am I feeding the chaos? So, in my wisdom, I'm bringing it, this all is connected. In my wisdom, though, should I discuss it at all? Because that could put fear or panic or whatever. That's not my intent, you see. And I had a discussion before in another video about our unintended consequences, of our best intentions, but do those things actually work out the way we intended? Well, I'm going to break up these two people from fighting, but I might get clobbered in the head. They could kill my ass if for getting involved with the two of them. That's just a simple, but to the point though. So what do we expect out of the universe? Now, expectations. I spoke about this before, but it's always interesting to bring it up because what if we expect something? Well, if I have this higher ascension knowledge thing, I'm going to feel so much different. How? Well, I'm going to feel nirvana. I'm going to have okay. How's it going to feel? So we try to project our own thoughts into what we expect back from the universe. And when it doesn't work out the way we expect it to, did we get it? Did we miss it? Or was it there all along and we just keep expecting more in a way that we haven't slowed down enough to understand what's right in front of us? So, and a lot of people over expect spiritually. I used to be one of them. It's like, well, if I'm doing all this stuff, shouldn't I be like, and then, in learning the shaman, the walk the red road over these last 20 years, especially, it was like, yo, it's right beside you. But I did all these things. Yeah, but it's right there. You're just not looking, because I was expecting what I didn't understand. If you've never had a transcendence kind of spiritual thingy, then and folks who have them, they go, try to describe it. Well, I was filled with the did you and Brian of Milky Way, we've talked about this, I think, in a show or two. Did we expect to feel the way we felt? And the answer is no, because we never felt it before. So in our wisdom and our learning and our intuitions, we have to learn to, quote, expect something. But because we don't know what to expect, what it's going to feel like, look like, or otherwise smell like. If you don't know what garlic is, and somebody's like, wow, well, I had garlic breath, had garlic for, garlic toast with my steak. Okay, fine. But if you've never smelled garlic, you go, okay, you know. But for somebody that's got garlic breath and they decide, you go, wow, well, you've been eating garlic. Oh, no vampire's going to kiss you. But from a standpoint, though, through we have to understand what something is before we can expect what it is. And if you never experience, then how you gonna know what? It's a twisted circle right there. But in our wisdom, in the wisdom of spirituality, I know this is kind of heavy, guys. But in the wisdom of our spirituality, sometimes we have to be wise enough just to be quiet. The answer might already be there. It may be staring right in front of us. We may be asking or expecting too much, so we don't see the answer or the way out or whatever it may be, because we're expecting too much. And we have to be careful about that. As a shaman in training and as a medicine man and doing things, you have to be very careful in that what you think, well, maybe if I dance two more times around the circle, it'll mean something more. Maybe not. Maybe there's a certain number of steps you need to take, and that's the answer. Not whether I think I'll do a little more because I did a little, maybe some more will do. Not always. So with that, we have to use our spiritual wisdom, our intuition. But if we're constantly distracted, not just by cell phones, but if we're constantly distracted, I can distract myself without a cell phone. Trust me. Just go walking in the woods and I'll get distracted in a heartbeat. But to the point, though, that, of course, being distracted in the woods is a lot better than anyway. But with that, though, the wisdom, I must continuously look at self and go, is that a wise decision that you made there? And it may be absolutely stupid, but there could be consequences other. So do I curse? No, because it sends out a bad vibration. Even though, is there anybody around here to really offend if I go, hey, F you? No, not really. But why should I? There are entities around. Why should I put that energy into the universe? So in my years of learning, I try to use all of these. There's so many points of wisdom, as my earlier when I was giving the one of the definitions. It is so extensive and so vast. There are so many levels of wisdom. It's not just one thing. They're all connected. Guess who? Guess what? To us. Because my wisdom may not help you. Your wisdom may not help me. But that we should help ourselves, which helps other people through our own wisdom. So we got to pay attention. We got to observe here. You hear me use these key words, be that compassionate observer, because then you can go, aha, I can use some wisdom in here. I can not get ticked off. I can, not whatever it is. So as you learn, you will see that the wisdom is literally all around you in the universe. Whether it's actually in you, as Truth in Me was talking about, but it is available to us. You can bet your sweet bippy on that one. Debbie Bell says, I can't wait to get rid of the internet. No, if we got rid of the internet, I couldn't have friends like you. So careful what you wish for. It's how we use an instrument. An axe is just an axe for cutting firewood until you give it to somebody like Lizzie Borden. Okay? Think about it. So, hey, a bottle's just a bottle until it's broken on somebody's noggin. It was just a bottle. So, to my point of, we can use anything in with detriment. So the internet's here, but I love it because there were things like I wanted, I used the word about, I used the word gauche the other day, and I was like, well, wait a minute, I couldn't remember how to spell it. I sort of knew what it meant, and I mainly used it in the right context, but I couldn't spell it. But anyway, so the internet was great. I was like, how the hell you poof? So it has its uses, but also understand. And Bob, we love you. We do. Thank you. The video hasn't been jumping around near as much as the other night. Um, so use it to your, a library could be overdone. There are some people now, they're older and whatever, but they just go to the library and read every day. Is that overdone? It's not the internet, but there's a lot of information in the building. Eh, so, but anyway, but in our wisdom, how do we use it? What do we do with it? How is our reaction to each other with the internet and with these other things? And through the internet, we connect with the quantum better. Those of us members of the League of Like-Minded Beings, which is all of us, guess what? We get to say hi to each other through the internet. Say hi to Bob, wave, let me have some coffee. But then, my friends, I'm gonna call it an evening or a morning. It's 12:30 Eastern Standard Time here in South Georgia. I absolutely love hanging out with y'all. I wish I could do more and interview you guys. But anyway, um, here's a not necessarily an oxymoron. How gauche, yeah. Uh, Hoity-toity. Anyway, it takes wisdom to use wisdom. Now, ain't that one for the ages? But it does. A wise man once said, well, what made him wise? Who said so? You know, I know I've said some wise things over the years. I've surprised myself, and had to go back and go, because I've written things down and I go back through stuff and I go, crap, you wrote that. There's the date and everything. Wow, there's your thumbprint and blood, holy crap. I said that? Yeah, didn't listen, did I? So I've had this wisdom issue with myself. So of course I can share but with the wisdom of the wisdom though. But so to be a wise man, um, I was thinking, um, maybe it was Kansas that wrote, "Carry on, my wayward son." Anyway, if I could be a wise man, then surely I would know anyway in the lyrics. But so to be a wise man, what makes you wise? To understand, recognize, and observe the fact that there's wisdom there. What else would make him a person, a wise person, man, woman, person, spiritual being, God, whatever, even, it's like, after a while, this idea of the malevolent and benevolent God above, with lightning. And if you don't do this, you're going to get struck with lightning, and, God's going to smite you for that shit, like, yeah, okay. But to the like, well, wait a minute, do I really want this to like send my energy to this guy that's going to strike me down? I don't know if I want to believe in that one, but I absolutely believe in the creator. But that God that goes around shooting lightning bolts because people won't obey his every command, I'm obeying the law, the simple law of nature of do no harm. I don't need a God to instruct me in how to act in that. Do no harm. Okay. Fits it. What other rule do you need? I don't know. I've done videos on this before, but it is important. If we do no harm, And if our intent is pure, then what do we need a God for? I mean, to worship. Now, again, absolutely, I'm working for the Creator. I'm working for Mother Mary. I'm working for the Goddess. I'm on this boat to, hey, let's do better. So I'm stuck in that. I am working for the cause, whether I have to, sign in blood or anything or not. Doesn't matter. I know that you're not going to get me to work for the dark side. Ain't going to happen. So, in my wisdom, I'm going to stay out of certain areas that could get me hurt. But at the same time, with my wisdom, I'm going to try to pass along positive information, like doing videos, chatting with you folk, and putting a positive attitude to the universe versus just pissing and moaning all the time. Let's put a positive, keep that positive going in the quantum, us league of like-minded beings. We don't we have discussion amongst ourselves, but all y'all, I very rarely see y'all like arguing, you know. And over the years that you've known me and I've known Brian and different people, we don't fight amongst each other. And if we do, well, maybe it's not in the chat, but the thing is what's the point? We're all here to try to share and to, you know, whether we're enlightened or not, it's the idea that we can get together and share this quantum. Because right now I'm like shooting out the juice in the quantum, y'all picking it up in whatever ways you are. We're doing the live stream, the chat thing, but we're connecting and we can feel it. We know it. And so why is there any should there be any fight about it? Debbie believes a particular way, Millie Cow, Michelle, Truth in Me, Ultraviolet. We all got a slight twist on the same thing because of our own life experiences. That's great. It is. It's good that we're different, but we understand a basic thing in our own way, one way or the other. Thump, thump. But whether or not, how we react. So, how I filter the information is one thing. That's me personally. How I react is with love and concern and blessings like you guys share with me. So, the rest doesn't matter how we got to that point. It's our intent after we got it. It's the wisdom we have learned within our own self in how I say my prayers, in how I push the energy out, and how I wish to share this with people, and how you share or they share or whoever shares. So, but the prayer is the same. The intent's the same with just slight variations. So we're still on the same page. You know what I'm saying? But through wisdom, we can understand this. Wow, we really are connecting, aren't we? Holy cow. We really are. We've made a difference with each other over the last several years. Bravo. I think we all, hey, we need coffee and a donut and share it with Bob. Yeah. Ultraviolet says, I learned to trust my instincts. Yes, Michelle, we're all in this together. Debbie says, we don't argue. We love each other because we are all family. Exactly. And that's my point. You guys share this stuff in here and with each other. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. And so for the folks, that subscribe to my channel, so there were 17, 16 people in here at one time tonight. That's almost a record. But the fact that we are sharing, we are keeping it alive. Hey, that's all that really matters. And we've made a difference between each other. And I just think it's the greatest. So it's almost an hour and a half long. Michelle says, maybe I should say that we are the League of Like-Minded Light Beings. Absolutely. It's beautiful. Thank you, Ultraviolet. So with all of our prayers and everything, remember, the wisdom is on a continuous, every day we use our wisdom. Every day we have the chance to make a different choice. Every day we can use or not use our wisdom, pay attention, not pay attention. Tomorrow I'm going to watch the game, and I was making a statement earlier, that, isn't the game about 8 o'clock? They don't put it on at 6 or 6:30 in the evening. Guess what time the game is tomorrow? 6:30. I laughed about that one, but anyway. But to the point, there are times when it's all right to be distracted. But as a general rule, as going through life, we got to pay attention. And how much you do, how much you choose to be wise, to be that wise man, person, woman, being. How much wisdom do you wish to extract from yourself or from the universe is obvious and obviously entirely up to you. Nobody can make you. But the more you do so, the more you use your own wisdom, you know yourself. You can feel it. It changes you. It gives you something else that you just can't describe. So keep up the good works, my fellow members of the League of Light-Minded Light Beings. So, my friends, thank you very much. Have a wonderful Sunday. Thank you all always for hanging out and sharing your love and your wisdom and your prayers. Michelle, Truth in Me, Ultraviolet, Debbie, let's see. I know some folks dropped out a little bit ago, so Truth in Me, yep. Jody, if you're still around, Ultraviolet, I got you. Okay, I think I pretty much got. So, Lady Spitfire, yep. Blessings to you. So, cosmic hugs, my friends. So we'll close with a prayer, and I think you all know I truly do mean it. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will accept and receive the healings, the knowledge, the blessing, and the wisdom from the universe. I continue to pray that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, all of your relatives, and all of your relations will continue to accept and receive the healings, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. And as always, as the law of three, I continue to pray that each and every one of you will accept, receive, and continue sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, and the healing and the knowledge and the wisdom from the universe. Thank you so much. Michelle, I love you too. Thank you so much. Lady Spitfire, Ultraviolet, Truth in Me, Debbie, all y'all, be safe. Continue on with the good work that you're doing. And we'll see you next time. Okay. Hopefully not as long as the last time anyway, but cosmic hugs, everybody. And from South Georgia, TTFN, cosmic hugs. Until next time, ta ta for now.